There could be no denying at this point that Princess Peach Showtime is one of the best games of the year, if not the best. It's better than Unicorn Overlord. It's better than Mario vs. DK. It's better than Prince of Persia. Uh, the prince needs to be rescued, right? It's better than Rise of the Ronin and Dragon's Dogma 2. It is, I think, my favorite game of the year so far. This was a very big surprise for me because I was looking forward to Princess Peach Showtime. I was really excited for the possibilities of Peach getting her own game and seeing them go to the nuts to the wall with it. Like I was really, really interested in seeing what they would do. But at the same time, there were some reservations, right? Because I felt like, much like with Tears of the Kingdom, they did not show enough of the game pre release, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people were trying to find excuses not to support this game. And one of the things they came up with was like, well, what genre is the game? And obviously, it's like an action adventure game, right? Like you could tell that by the trailers, but at the same time, like you can kind of see where people are coming from, right? When they say that, like, well, is it a mini game collection? Is it like how in depth are these levels really? How much variety are we gonna get really? How many costumes are we gonna get really? I think when like they first showed the game off, like I think there were concerns that there would only be those three costumes, right? Sword Fighter, Patissier, and Kung Fu Peach. But of course we got several more, 10 in total, I believe, and all of them are incredibly unique, fun, elegant, and just really give a lot of personality to the character, right? If nothing else, I do think this is what the primary appeal of the game is. Like this game gives Peach a lot of personality, right? The animations are great, the voice lines are great, the settings and the themes and the antagonists are great. Like the game just goes above and beyond in making a top tier presentation, right? And for me, that's a big reason why it's so appealing to me, right? When you play as Ninja Peach and you jump into the water and like you see her like using the reed thing to breathe, and then you see her jump out into the grass, and then she like raises those little like grass things to camouflage herself better, and where she presses up against the wall and then just kind of sittles like past like a spotlight. Like when you play through the game and you see just how much originality is here. When you see how much like you're constantly seeing and doing new things, right? In each and every level, it's something completely new, unique, and interesting. Even if it's like a costume you've used before, right? I was kind of surprised when I did the second cowgirl stage and realized just how much different it was from the first one, right? Like in general, I was surprised that like the differences between like the later stages and the earlier ones, right? Where the first one is typically a tutorial where like you learn how the powers work, like what they can do and like the gimmicks of the stage. And then you get like the second one, which is a lot more like in depth and a lot more like has a lot more going on. Like you start off the second stage of a costume like with the costume. Like you don't have to go through the transformation process every time, right? And so like that kind of leads to this really cool like build up session where like you go through a stage as a standard Peach. You're interacting with like the kung fu guys or the or the detective or like all these other people, and then like you uncover your transformation, and then you take your role in the plot, right? You take your role in the play, you become the protagonist, and it is so exciting to see like Peach like pick up a sword or go through a haunted castle or like become a detective and go through these sections, and they're all really really good sections, right? Like a lot of people thought that like they would be relegated to action stages. But no, like all of the action stages look and play completely differently, right? The sword fighter has a counter that's not in any other stage. Superhero Peach can pick things up and like has these really cool like sci-fi themed like sections, like a shmup section. Phantom Thief Peach has like the cool 2D side-scrolling sections, and like it plays a lot like Jean's Spy Mission. In general, like This is the thing I was saying when I was playing the game on stream. Like, Peach has like proven herself to be the alpha female video game protagonist because she can do all this stuff and make it work. Like when she's a thief, she owns it. Like when she's kung fu, she owns it. When she's an ice skater, she owns it. When she's a superhero, she owns it. Right? When she's a cowgirl, she owns it. And like that, it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, wow, this makes the character unbelievably likable, unbelievably compelling, and just manages to keep to the the appeal of the character, right? Because this is still Princess Peach, right? Like this is something that a lot of people who are like casual fans were confused about with the Mario movie. Like, oh, Princess Peach can't do this, but clearly you don't know anything about the character. You know, like she's been playable since Super Mario Bros. 2. You know, like I've been saying that for a while. Like Princess Peach, like not being in a game has nothing to do with like her not being like competent or not being capable, right? It's more to do with the fact that like, you know, what would you do differently with Peach as the lead, right? Like it's just like with Donkey Kong Country. Like it's not just a basic rehash of the Mario franchise, right? Wario Land is not a basic rehash of the Mario franchise. Luigi's Mansion is not a basic rehash of the Mario franchise. And Princess Peach Showtime is not a basic rehash of the Mario franchise. You know, people don't understand this, but this game does a really good job making Peach an actual protagonist with her own like kind of like appeal and her own unique antagonist. I don't see a lot of people like addressing this at this point, but Madame Grape is legit a great antagonist for Peach. You know, she has great boss fights, great minions, a great personality, great design. She looks like a Kirby boss, right? Fitting from the people who made Kirby's Epic Yarn, right? You have Madame Grape. You have that like really good final confrontation, right? You have Peach like going up against her. Like, you know, I posted on my community tab like comparing like Peach versus Madame Grape versus Travis versus Pooh and from No More Heroes 3, and it really is the same kind of energy, right? Like Madame Grape, I really hope we see her in a follow-up game. I hope we get a sequel, period, because you know, like I love this game like nonstop. Like it was like full stop. It was nonstop fun for like the entire runtime. And it's not a long game. Like the two main problems it has is that it's very short and it's very easy. But at the same time, you can say the same thing about like Luigi's Mansion. You can say the same thing about like, you know, quite a few of these spin-off games, right? Like it's not typical for these games to be that long, right? But throughout the entire runtime, you just have this like you're just endlessly bombarded with these cool visuals, new mechanics, new situations for the protagonist to enter, and you find yourself just really baffled by just how well implemented it all is, right? You know, I noticed when I was playing the Detective Peach segments, although they're like quite a bit slower than the other ones, I found myself realizing that like, wow, this segment is better than Detective Pikachu, right? It looks better, it plays better, it respects your intelligence more, it's written better. Like it's it manages to balance between like uh being goofy and like being a serious like take on the detective like mystery genre thing. Like I honestly would want to see like a fully fledged game based on that outfit. You know, I would like to see more of these ideas expanded on in a sequel. And I don't know how well the game has done yet. Everybody I've spoken to seems to think the game is going to do really really well, right? YouTubers are like bending over backwards trying to say that like, oh, it's a bomb, it's a bomb, it's a bomb. But like they do this with every release, you know. Like I saw Nintendo Land that shill, that pretendo. Like he starts off his Princess Peach Showtime video. He's like, "Oh, this is just a filler release until the Switch 2 comes out." Like, come on. Like, come on. Like, you need to stop, like, weaponizing the Switch 2 to downplay, like, all these great games that are coming out. You know, like, you did this for another Code R and Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom, Wario Land, WarioWare Move It, right? Super Mario RPG. Oh, those are just filler titles. Like, the Switch 2 is coming out this year. Like, come on. Like, why don't you talk about the actual video game? Oh wait, you can't, because if you did, you would have to acknowledge this thing is pure unadulterated Kino and deserves to be held in the same regard as Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom, right? This is one of the best Nintendo games I have played in a long, long time, and I am very, very tired of people trying to pretend otherwise.